Right here, right above.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Check 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 1 2 1 2. And we're live here at Viking Stadium as the DVC Vikings take on the West Hills College Falcons, and we got a great matchup today. It was the season opener for this teams last year, and the Vikings fell 35-29 in a match down at West Hills. The Vikings had 329 yards of total offense. But the problem that the Vikings faced last year was they had 17 offensive penalties, and one of those was a clipping call behind the play that actually took away the potential scoring touchdown. Additionally, the Vikings turned the ball over 6 times, and 3 of those times were inside the red zone. So the Vikings are coming out today, and they're looking to clean things up and kick the season off with a better foot this time around. David Hamilton, Chris Lyles, the 2 men back for DVC as we await the kickoff. The place kicker for the West Hill Falcons is Cannon Ames. Ready. We have the teams on the field. Of course, West Hill's kicking it off, and the Vikings are receiving it to open up the 2019 football season. Still awaiting the opening whistle. As the fans get a little antsy here. So our production team today, we have Logan Noni's joining us for another great year of DVC football. Noah Williams will be joining us shortly, and a new member to the team, Oscar Martinez. We have a very exciting cast here as we kick off the 2019 season with the Diablo Valley College broadcasting program right over here in the lovely Pleasant Hill, California. A little bit of a delay kicking things off. Athletic Director Christine Worsley talking to the officials on the field. And they are going to send them off the field for whatever reason. So as they get things worked out here on the field, we'll actually take a quick break as we start off this broadcast on a little bit of a shaky foot, but we'll get things going in just a moment. Kickoff to come in just a moment here at Viking Stadium. You're tuned into the DVC Viking Sports Network. Back here at Viking Stadium, we're here and we're just about ready to go. The confusion on the field that really stumbled the opening kickoff was the fact that the doctor wasn't quite there yet. So, out to kick is Cannon Ames. It's a little bit of a pooch kick out to the 30-yard line. It'll be fielded right over there at the 30-yard line. Big man trying to make an athletic move, and it'll be taken down right at the 27-yard line. Isaiah Letuasuasua, the defensive lineman, the starting nose guard actually, out there on the field for the first return of the season. So we'll get the ball in the middle of the field from the 27-yard line as the Vikings come out and show off their offense for the first time in 2019. Dylan Graham, the freshman quarterback out of Walnut Creek, playing out of Las Lomas High School, comes out in the pistol to kick things off. Hand off, and it'll be a zone left to kick things off. Austin Williams gets some space along the left side of that offensive line, and he bullies his way out to the 33-yard line.
Excellent job moving forward. They're getting some penetration on the defensive line there by the DVC offensive line.
And it's 2nd and 6 after a gain of 4 on the play by Austin Williams. 4 receiver set with the pistol out from the far hash mark. Rams comes out. Stares down the defense. It's a 3-man, 3-3 stack for the Falcons on the field. Dropping back, standing still, and tossing it too low for Roman Sahagan. Sahagan, the intended receiver, is the 6'2", 192 sophomore out of Pleasanton, California. He was the leading wide receiver for the Vikings last year. He totaled 44 catches for 591 yards and 3 touchdowns in his freshman campaign with the Vikings. But the Vikings, after getting a nice little run to kick things off, are facing a little adversity on their first drive. Trips out to the near side of the field from the far hash mark, working left to right. Dylan Graham stands in the pistol. Calling for the snap. They'll hand it off one more time, working that zone left once again, cutting back after hitting initial wall of defensive linemen for the Falcons. And he'll only make his way out to the 37-yard line. And that will force a 4th down. So the Vikings have a decision to make, and it's a quick decision as they send out the punt team. So a 3-and-out to start the season off for the Vikings, and that is not the offensive start you want to see.
Indeed, a good defensive stop right there by West Hills, coming out and stopping the run game immediately and forcing a 3-and-out on the first possession.
The punter out for the Vikings is Christopher Abbas. Prom, the punter and kicker last year, is replaced by 2 men this year. So number 25, Christopher Abbas. It's a fake, actually, out to the 45-yard line, stiffing arm a defender and being wrapped down right at the 47. Number 15, I believe, for the Vikings. It's Nick Visser, the backup quarterback on special teams. So a little bit of trickery to kick things off for the Vikings, so they don't actually go 3-and-out. They stall out on 4th down, but then they go with the fake punt and continue to carry over the momentum. From the 48-yard line officially on the field, the Vikings once again working left to right. From the near hash mark, Graham calling for the snap. Hands it off once again. Another zone left. This time it's Tyrell Struggs-Kofer who reverses the field after getting stuck, tries to stiff arm the last defender, and it'll be brought down at just about the 43-yard line. A little bit of speed getting the better of him as he thought he had enough speed to cut off the edge, but as the freshman running back out of Liberty High School will soon learn, it's a different speed here at the junior college level.
Indeed, Tyrell Struggs-Kofer trying to get outside using his speed, cutting across the other side of the field, but in this game you got to go north to south.
So that was Struggs-Kofer's first run of the season, a taller running back at 6 foot tall, and he'll stay in as Graham will line up once again in the pistol. They motion Dominic Dominguez left to right, and then he's being pressured now, and Dylan Graham is brought down at the 30-yard line. The number 35, Deshaun Hollyman, the linebacker, came up to make the stop, and it's turning pretty poorly in this second attempt at a first offensive possession for the Vikings. It's 3rd and 16 now.
Indeed, good defense played there by West Hills, getting in cover 1 and man, and good communication there by the safeties, being able to shift over and get a good defensive stop right there on the Vikings.
So the Vikings come out. 3rd down and an eternity from the 30-yard line. They have 20 yards to go, 11-19 left in this first quarter play. We're going to have to see a big throw off the right arm of Dylan Graham. Calling for the snap. They actually hand it off. This time goes to Williams once again. Williams gets a nice little 5-yard pickup on the play, but that was not nearly enough to move the chains. So we'll see the punt unit come out to the field once again for the Vikings. And this time they'll likely punt. The largest man that you'll ever see on a junior college football field on the punt unit right over there. 6'7", 415 pounds, the up back, the right guard, Christopher Strotter, stands tall.
I would love to have a man that big protecting me back there as a punter.
Avis gets a low snap, and he'll kick it. It's a high spiraling snap going all the way down to the 20-yard line and missing one defender at first, but whistles blow down. And we believe that the returner for West Hills College, number 23, Daryl White, the wide receiver, fair caught the ball. He might have held his hand up to try to get potentially a little bit of sun out of his eyes, but it looked like a fair catch. So West Hills will get their first offensive drive of the 2019 season from the 19-yard line. The quarterback for the Falcons is Will Weinman, the 6'2", 170 freshman out of Prosser, Washington. He will wear number 14, and the running back in the backfield, DeJuan James. From the near hash marks, Weinman lines up in the shotgun alongside 2 running backs. 2 receivers out to the far side of the field as the Vikings come out in an Okie 3-man front. Snap is off, they hand it off, zone left, getting some space, and shoulder tackle down at the 23-yard line is DeJuan James. And now bring up a 2nd and 7 from the 23-yard line.
Excellent contain there on the defensive side for the Vikings from number 31, Zane Cribb, coming up and making a tackle at first contact and getting a gang of Viking tacklers on the ball carrier on that one.
But you hate to see that. He tried to lay a big hit rather than wrap up at the beginning of the season. You'll see a lot of missed tackles due to some lack of wrapping, so we'll hope that the Vikings get a little bit of fundamentals down here on their defensive side. The Vikings showing pressure from both their linebackers. Trips out to the right-hand side, dropping back against Wyman. Wyman tosses the ball over the top, had his defensive back beat, was number 21. That's Josh Robinson, the freshman out of Mabane, North Carolina, but the ball was delivered a little too high, and that's a missed hookup that could have gone for 6 for the Falcons.
Indeed, getting freed up the seam, the receiver for West Hills Coalinga. And blown coverage right there from the Vikings.
So West Hills College, after that potentially great play, will face a 3rd and 7 from the 23-yard line. 9 minutes, 35 seconds left in this first quarter of play. They come out in the shotgun, trips out to the far side of the field from the near hash mark. Will Wyman will await the snap. Safety pressure looking like it's being brought up by the Vikings as Will Wyman will look to his sideline as he did not like the look from the Vikings. Weinman awaiting the snap, delivers, looks for the screen, is pressured, tosses the ball. It might have been a fumble. It's picked up, going into the end zone, and that might be a touchdown for the Vikings. Teron Pierce, the sophomore out of Pittsburgh, California, transferring from LMC to DVC, comes up for the first touchdown of the season, and of course for the Vikings, it's a defensive touchdown.
Number 3, Twantre Pierce, getting the good luck of the stick on that one, being able to pick up the fumble on that one, what seemed to be an incomplete pass by West Hills Coalinga, but ended up being a fumble and picked up by number 3, Twantre Pierce from the Vikings.
Flag comes out on the field after the play. It's inside the end zone, so it'll likely be an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty or an excessive celebration. So it is a touchdown. but indeed it is an unsportsmanlike conduct call on the Vikings. So despite the fact they got in the end zone, they'll have to face 15 yards on the next kickoff. But a great job by this DVC Vikings defense to kick off the scoring season for the Vikings. Talking to Coach Dar earlier this week, they were talking about how this defense might mirror some of the great defenses the Vikings have had in the past, 2007, 2019, 2013, 2014, some of those great defenses that I've seen firsthand. The kicker for the Vikings comes out on the field. It's Christopher Abyss. He looks to line up and shoot down the first PAT of the season. He's up and good as he shows off the booming leg that could have made it out there from 40. And the Vikings go up 7-0 to kick off this opening season here in Viking Stadium. 9:27 left in this first quarter play. The Vikings lead 7-0 here at Viking Stadium. We'll take a quick break and be back on the other side for the next kickoff. You're tuned into DVC Viking Sports Network. Back here in Viking Stadium, the Vikings score a defensive touchdown off a nice sack and forced fumble return for a touchdown by Tarontre Pierce. He was a cornerback and wide receiver over at LMC right down the road from here, and decided to come up to the big-time junior college circuit playing here at DVC, and there he comes up with a huge highlight to start off his sophomore campaign with the Vikings. The Vikings await the kickoff. Big booming leg by the way of Christopher Abyss. Abyss will have to boot it very deep as he lines up at the 20-yard line because the Vikings had a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty at the end of that play. Hills on the 10, strolling up, kicking it high, and it'll be fielded in great field positioning. Actually, touchdown at the 30-yard line. The Vikings might have dropped on top of it, and at the last moment, number 23, the return man, Darrell White, was able to dive on top of it. If the Vikings had gotten there, that would have been a live ball and another offensive possession for the Vikings. But the miscommunication from the wide receiver doesn't cost him and his team an offensive possession.
Seeing two pooch kicks here done by DVC, and that's for a chance for the special teams to run down there and get to the returner as a flag is on the field.
So flag is on the field, so after the play, they'll move the chains up out to the 31-yard line, or 5 after the 31-yard line, so we'll move the ball to the 36-yard line after the penalty on the Vikings. And that's where West Hills will get another start on offense. They come out with a 4-receiver set. The quarterback once again is Will Weinman, the freshman. Awaiting the snap, calls it, hands it off to his running back, has some space off the left side of the offensive line, grabbed up underneath by his ankles, but he gets a nice pickup on the play of 5. Out to the 41-yard line is DeJuan James. It'll be 2nd and 5 from the 41-yard line. And this is the first time we're seeing Weinman out of the empty set. This time he motions his running back from his left hip out into the right slot from the near hash marks. The freshman quarterback, Will Weinman, will come out in the empty set. Motioning his running back to the right hip as he comes And they hand it off in a sweep action, cutting back, nowhere to go, taking 3 DVC defenders, swarming to the spot to bring him down. But that's a gain of only about half a yard. And the Vikings will force 3rd down from the 41-yard line.
Yeah, excellent job there by Jonathan Lambert right there, making the tackle on the counter play right there on West Hills Coalinga.
Vikings defense is swarming early on in this game as they're trying to get West Hills off the field early. 3rd and 4 from the near hash mark. They come out in a 2 running back set. Motioning out into the flats, they fake the handoff, sprinting out to the right, flipping the hips, tossing it, and that's almost intercepted, but at the last moment, caught at the 50-yard line. A diving catch made by Jonathan Murphy.
Excellent hands there by Murphy, and Weinman putting the ball in an excellent place to be able to get that reception right there out of the way of the defender.
If he threw it 1 inch behind his receiver, that would have been an interception, but a great placement on the ball by the freshman quarterback. Weinman motions his hands, clapping it side by side, and he lines up in a 2-2 stack on each side of him. From the far hash mark, Weinman awaiting the snap. Vikings looking like they're in man coverage, looking deep down the field, one-on-one, tosses it over the top, and it's broken up at the last second. Trey Pierce, he is the one that they're trying to pick on early on in this game, but he's shown up and answered the call twice already.
Good play there by Trey Pierce as West Hills Coalinga tried to attack him on that one in the 2-2 stack set. He was playing inside leverage, and number 20 for West Hills Coalinga tried to get outside on him, and almost a big play there for West Hills.
Rayvon Smith, the intended receiver, the freshman out of Baltimore, Maryland. This will be a 2nd and 10 from midfield, 7:18 left as the Vikings trail 7-0. A pistol set with a fullback comes alongside Wyman. He pushes his wide receiver who's lined up at fullback as they toss a screen out to the left side. It's red all the way, but unfortunately the Vikings sniffed it out. The intended receiver on the play, DeJuan James, was eyeing down his running back, or the quarterback was eyeing down his running back, DeJuan James, the whole entire time, so the Vikings were able to sniff that out, and they'll force 3rd down from the 49-yard line.
Indeed, excellent job there by number 5, Brandon Fatalele, and they get the stop there.
The inside linebacker wearing number 5 is a sophomore out of Antioch, California. Shotgun with a twin snap once again. Weinman looking downfield, pressure, has to step in the pocket. He'll look to run it himself, but there's nowhere to go. Flag flies in at the end of the play, but the Vikings get a sack, and they'll force a 4th down. Shyrus Duckett getting the tackle on the play. This will likely be an offensive holding call. Offensive number 72, the right guard, Jamal Jones, is the one called for the infraction. But, of course, the Vikings will deny that penalty, and they'll force a 4th down punt from the 47-yard line.
Excellent penetration right there, 98. Shyrus Duckett, 6'3", 320 pounds, the sophomore, getting to the quarterback on that one.
Lining up, his heels are on the 29-yard line. Isaac Lindgren will look to punt it off. It's a wobbling punt, a knuckleball that will be fielded down at the 20-yard line and brought down right away. The return man for the Vikings was number 10, Roman Sahagan. DVC will get the ball at the 20-yard line to kick off their 2nd offensive drive of the season. They stalled out on a 3-and-out in their first drive before going for a fake punt, converting that, and then stalling out, unfortunately, once again. But their defense picked up the slack. This time around, the defense picks up the slack once again, forces a punt, and the Vikings offense will look to have something to prove. The freshman out of Brentwood, California, Sturgis Kofer, is in the backfield alongside Dylan Graham. And it's a delay of game on the Vikings. They took quite a little bit too long to set up. So once again, the Vikings put themselves up in a precarious situation to start out their offensive drive. 1st and 15 now from the 15-yard line of the Vikings. They'll line up in a pistol look alongside a fullback and a running back. Dylan Graham hands it off to his running back, having some space off the left of the offensive line, and he'll only get 2 yards on the play. So the Vikings are running it very early. I believe they've only attempted 1 pass so far in this game. Second and 13 from the 17-yard line. The Vikings will come out in that same look. They have a pistol look, fullback off the left side of the offensive line, and Sturgis Kofer is the running back behind Graham. They hand it off to Graham once again. They try to go counter right this time around, continuing turning his feet as he refuses to go down, but he's eventually brought down at the 20-yard line after only a gain of 3 on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 10 from the 20-yard line of the Vikings as the Vikings face a 3rd and long.
The Vikings here trying to penetrate into West Hills Coalinga D, trying to get the run, the counter play right behind their big O lineman, Christopher Strotter, onto the right side, but failed on that attempt.
The fullback in those 2 sets was Ravine Nasale. He actually plays defensive line. So they take the defensive lineman off the offensive side of the field, and the quarterback will drop up, toss the fade on the sideline. That was a miscommunication between his receiver, and the freshman quarterback is having a rough going to start things off. Another quick 3 and out for the Vikings as they have to punt the ball out deep in their own territory. In the last few years, the Vikings have had consistently good defenses, but the offensive side of the ball continues to be a struggle after a little bit of a lackluster year from last year. Hopefully they come back and kick things off on a better foot on their 3rd offensive drive of the game. But so far, it's looking like a little bit of a struggle. Kick is up. The punt will be fielded at just about the 37-yard line. Tackled down right away, being brought back out to the 35-yard line. So the punt was a little bit of a low punt, but it was fielded extremely well for the Vikings as the starting defensive back playing special teams, Nico Oliveira, comes up with the tackle for the Vikings. And the Falcons will come out from the 35-yard line for this offensive drive. .429 remaining in the first quarter of play. The Vikings lead 7-0 after a defensive touchdown on the opening drive of the Falcons. From the 35-yard line, a mere look to what the Vikings were running. They'll go out from the near hash mark. Is Weinman with a fullback out in the pistol. They hand it off out to the right side to DeJuan Jones once again, and DeJuan James this time around doesn't have much space himself. 2nd and 9 after a 1-yard gain.
West Hill's trying to establish dominance here early on with the run game, penetrating into the Diablo Valley defense.
The Vikings fans starting to cheer on their defense as the clock continues to turn down. 4 minutes ticking down. And West Hills will come out once again in a shotgun look. Wyman sending his wide receiver Josh Robinson into the flats, dropping back, looking deep downfield, tossed into double coverage and tossed way too far over the top. Jonathan Murphy was the intended receiver, the slot receiver, but he was covered up well by the Vikings defenseman, and it'll be 3rd down and long from the 37-yard line.
Indeed, Wyman trying to make connection with his receiver, Jonathan Murphy, making early on connections with him in the ball game and trying to get to that corner route right there on that one.
3rd and long. We'll see what the freshman out of Prosser, Washington can do. Wyman looking towards his sideline as they stand in the sun in this DVC heat. Trips out to the far side of the field. Between the hash marks, Wyman awaits the snap. Gets the snap, looking. It's a draw, handed up the middle, having some space out to the 45-yard line, cutting to the far sideline, tackled down at the 48-yard line of the Vikings. So on 3rd and long, they hand the ball to DeJuan James, and he rips off the biggest run of the night, converting on the draw. A little undiscipline shown by the DVC defense as they give that up. And I'm sure Coach Dar and the defensive coaches out on the field hate to see that. Zane Cribb was the safety on the play that eventually came out to make the tackle, the 6', 198 sophomore out of Danville, California. Chips out to the far side of the field, and Wyman will come out from the near hash mark. Wyman looking towards his wide receivers. The Vikings are showing some press coverage early on. Potential blitz off the side. The Vikings want it to be a delay of game, but they hesitate just for a second. Outlet pass out to the flats, making his way out to the 40-yard line, diving down out to the first down sticks. We'll see if he got it. As number 88, that was Keon Hare, the sophomore wide receiver out of Hopkins, South Carolina, comes up for the catch. And almost the first down for the Falcons. Falcons offense showing some promise here as they get out to the Vikings 39-yard line. It will be 2nd and 1. 2nd and 1 from the far hash mark. Wyman looking to command his offense once again. Awaiting the snap as the Vikings show some pressure. Double linebackers off the edge as they have their 3 defensive linemen stacked inside. They hand the ball off up the middle, out to the 20, 10, 5, inside the end zone for a Falcons touchdown. 39-yard score by DeJuan James. West Hills College gets on the board for the first time after ripping a huge run. And once again, undisciplined defense filling the holes for the Vikings lead up to that great run by the sophomore running back out of Mobile, Alabama. And they await the PAT to tie the game up at 7.
West Hills establishing the run game very early on, giving it to Mr. Reliable, number 4, DeJuan James, as they had 10 men in the box for Diablo Valley, but he got past and brought it into the end zone for West Hills.
Cannon Ames lines up for the PAT attempt. Snap is off, kick is up, and it'll go straight through the upright. So we have a tied game early on in Pleasant Hill, California. 7-7, we're tied up with 2:17 left in this first quarter of play. Great junior college football coming back your way. You are tuning to the DVC Viking Sports Network. Cannon Ames is back to kick it off after the successful PAT after a great run by their running back, DeJuan James. He'll kick it off deep. David Hamilton and Chris Miles are the return men. They actually go with the pooch kick once more. Picked up on the field, diving down after a hard run out to the 30-yard line. And once again, that's number 30, Isaiah Letua-Suasua, the defensive lineman. So 2 kickoffs for the Falcons, and the defensive lineman comes up with the ball twice.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's trying to get a lot of yards on that one. He looks like he's trying to put his head down and get some good running game and get some contact. He's trying to get some physicality brought into this ball game.
Not often does a defensive lineman get the ball, so when you do, you don't want to juke him, man. You want to run them straight over.
Yeah, old school football with him.
Graham lining up in the pistol as he'll motion his receiver, Dominic Dominguez, from left to right. Tossing out to Dominguez. Dominguez trying to make a move, runs back towards his side of the goal, and he'll catch the ball at the 35-yard line, but only come up with a reception out to the 34-yard line. 2nd and 5 from the 35-yard line, 1:48 left in this first quarter of play. The Vikings will come out. Lone receiver to the near side of the field is number 11, Dylan Alves. Pistol look from the near hash mark, and the quarterback will toss it, and that's a miscommunication. Once again, Sahagan was running a short flat route, but the quarterback, Dylan Graham, believed he was running a slant, so the two are unable to hook up once again, and it'll force a 3rd and 5.
We've seen common miscommunication showed here by the Diablo Valley offense, and in order to get some plays going together, they got to communicate from the quarterback and the receiver. Can't be sailing balls into the sideline.
So, a pistol look for the Vikings once again as they'll look to convert their first first down on offense. Looking out to the left side of the field, caught by Sahagan. Sahagan behind the sticks, but continues to turn his feet, and they'll say he got it. Sahagan, he needed 5, he got 6, and the Vikings are able to move the chains.
Roman Sahagan being the workhorse for Diablo Valley College for the past 2 years, showing off how he could use his legs and his power and his ability to be able to get the first down in open field.
And the Vikings will look to use that momentum to continue forward. From the 42-yard line, the Vikings come out 1st and 10 from their side of the 42. Graham in the pistol, trips to the bottom of the field. Blitz comes off the edge, and the Vikings run against it, being caught from behind after a nice little pickup of 3 yards on the play. That was Austin Williams once again. And number 7, the cornerback, Thaddeus Harris, who came off a blitz, was there to make the stop. Second and 7 from the 44-yard line. 27 seconds counting down. The Vikings will likely have one more play here in this first quarter. Trips out to the far side of the field from the near hash mark. The freshman quarterback drops back, 3-step drop, looking deep down the sideline for his receiver. Brings it in. We'll see if he was inbounds, and no, he drifted out of bounds. John Giolari III, the freshman out of Danville, California, was pushed out of bounds by his defensive back. And that's just a great play by the defense, zoning their man out of bounds.
Almost a big-time play right there by number 83, John Giagari. But like you said, great defense played there by Thaddeus Harris, shoving him out of bounds before he can get a chance to get his hands on the ball.
And Dylan Graham so far is looking like he's just dropping little pellets. He's throwing these balls up in the air. He's not pecking it with the line drive. 3rd and 7 from the 44. Graham once again gets the ball, 3-step drop, looking back for a screen, toss it out to Sturgis Kofer. As Sturgis Kofer had nowhere to go, they sniffed it out all the way, and a swarm of Falcon defenders will make him lose a yard on the catch. Fourth down, but a flag flies out at the end of the play, and we'll see who that's on. So a face mask on the defense. Number 19 was called for the infraction. That is the defensive lineman, Keyshawn Geist. So despite the fact that the Vikings lost a yard on that play, they end up getting a first yard via the refs. 0.8 of a second left in this first quarter. So the Vikings will get one more play out in the from the 41-yard line. But actually, the clock continued to run despite the fact that there was a penalty. So we'll take it to the end of the quarter as we have a good game here in Vikings Stadium to kick off the 2019 football season. 7-7, the Vikings and the Falcons are tied up here on the Viking Sports Network. We'll be back for second quarter action after the break. Back in Vikings Stadium for the beginning of the second quarter. The Vikings line up in a dual-back shotgun set here. Two receivers out to the far side of the field as the Vikings work from right to left. They hand it off in the sweep. That's actually a wide receiver lined up at running back, getting out to the 40-yard line and being dropped down at the 38-yard line. So Dominic Dominguez, the freshman wide receiver, lined up as a back that time around. He got his first rush of his career. It'll be second down, rather, and just about 6 from the 38-yard line after the carry from the wide receiver. 4 minutes, 54 seconds left in the second quarter play. The Vikings in the pistol, trips out to the far side of the field as they work from the near hash mark. Gets the snap, tosses it out into the flats, and an attempt at a one-hand grab by Austin Williams coming out into the flats. He would have had some real estate in front of him if he was able to bring that one in, but just a little bit too far outside for the running back.
A lot of real estate on that one. West Hills Coalinga sending the safety on a blitz. And unfortunately, Diablo Valley cannot get the connection on that one with a lot of real estate in front of them.
So after the drop, Williams will be brought to the sideline. Tyrell Sturgis-Kofer will come out. The freshman out of Brentwood, California, will line up as the running back on the play alongside Dylan Graham. So the Vikings from the near hash marks working right to left will come out in the spread formation. Running back 2 yards past the quarterback was Kofer, and diving attempt to make the catch on the slant was Roman Sahagan, but he was not able to corral the ball and bring it in, and it'll be fourth down for the Vikings.
West Hills again sending a safety on the blitz from that side. Roman Sahagan reaching out, diving, laying out for the ball, but could not get the connection on that one. But he found the hole in the zone, and just unfortunate luck on that one for the Vikings.
And the Vikings are in a little bit of that no-man's zone where you can't quite make a field goal from this distance, and it's kind of a waste of a possession to punt it off. So for the first time this year, after the fake punt, of course, the Vikings will come out and go for it on fourth down. 4th and 6 from the 38-yard line. Vikings come out with Graham. Graham, 3-step drop, looking down, checks the field, and will be brought down. The worst thing possible for the Vikings, a sack on fourth down, and there'll be a conversion on downs from the 45-yard line. Number 60, the nose tackle, Riku Kasuga, came up from the inside of that defensive line to get the sack, and the Vikings offense will have to, the Vikings defense rather, will have to start from the 45-yard line.
West Hills consistently getting their hands on the quarterback and forcing pressure on Diablo Valley.
So 14:33 left on the big board here at Viking Stadium, and for the first time in the second quarter, the West Hills offense will come out and see what they can compose on the field. Weinman hands it off once again to James. James brought down right away. A swarm of DVC defenders got to him, and that was big number 98 on the play for the Vikings. The defensive end, Rafael Hernandez, was the man there.
DVC showing short bursts that they are very capable of getting defensive stops on the run game here. With strong men up front and the ability to cover ground, but just can't seem to connect them here.
And once again, the Vikings' strength stems from their defensive front. From the near hash mark, Weinman works with 2 running backs in the backfield. They hand it off on the draw once again, having some space, stops, cutting out towards the far sideline at the 50-yard line, out to the 40, being angled out of bounds and pushed out at the 30-yard line. A blatant draw by the West Hills Falcons offense turns up with a huge gain on the play, working away from their own 45-yard line out to the Vikings 30-yard line on the play. The rover for the Vikings, Vince Seha, was the man for on the tackle. Continuing to show a strong running game is this Falcons offense, as Weinman handing off to Juwan James has been the recipe that's worked the best. From the near hash mark, working left to right. Weinman works 3 receivers out to the far side of the field. The lone receiver, Keon Hare, is on the bottom of the screen. Vikings show a 4-man front on the play as they walk up a defensive back. And it'll be a roll out to the left-hand side, tossed up, flipped up in the air. It's tipped and cut out to the 40-yard line, making his way out to the 50, 40,
baby.
showing that 40-yard dash going all the way down the field, and the Vikings score another defensive touchdown to put them up 13-7. The dime corner, Tanner Cooper, tipped the ball up, and instead of having a tip drill to another defender, he tip drilled it to himself, taking it all the way, 45-yard pick six.
Vikings sending the entire house on that one when on blitz, and number 13, Tanner Cooper, being able to tip it to himself, going almost 60-plus yards for the interception for the Vikings.
So pardon me, he actually tipped the ball up and got the interception at the Vikings 45, so he took it 55-plus yards. DVC's defense is definitely showing their teeth early on as they put on the first 2 scores of the season for the Vikings.
And it seems like the defense here for the Vikings is what's going to keep them alive for the entirety of the season. Offense wins games, but defense wins championships.
Christopher Abyss lines up once again, booming kick through the PATs. He crosses the T on the PAT, and the Vikings take the lead 14-7, 12:41 left in this first quarter play. You're tuned into DVC football here on the Vikings Sports Network. Darrell White deep for West Hills, and the other returnman for the Falcons is Jonathan Murphy. Christopher Abyss here to kick it off for the Vikings once again. Heels on the 26-yard line. He'll trot forward, showing off that big right leg, swinging it deep. It'll be fielded all the way back in the end zone for the Vikings. So taking a knee on the L of the Diablo Valley logo in the end zone. And West Hills will get another offensive chance here at the 25-yard line.
As the Vikings defense runs back out onto the field. Great production from them tonight, as they have 2 defensive touchdowns in this ball game. As the Vikings offense hasn't been able to get anything going, the defense keeps them alive.
And it's come from 2 different aspects. It's come from a strip sack fumble for a touchdown and a pick 6 there on the last play for the Vikings. So the Vikings will come out on defense once again. They hand it off to DeJuan James. DeJuan James, shifty move in the backfield, runs past the defender, continuing to turn his feet out to the 31-yard line, and he refuses to go down as he finally is brought down at the 32-yard line. So another great play by the sophomore running back out of Mobile, Alabama.
DeJuan James showcasing his speed and his ability to keep his feet moving through contact, getting about 6 yards after first contact on that play.
A gain of 8 on the play as he sets his offense up for a great second down. 2nd and 2, 14-7. The Vikings lead with 12 minutes counting down in this second quarter play. Wyman trips out to the far side of the field as he comes out in the pistol set. Awaiting the snap. scanning the field, tosses his running back out into the flats, but he took quite a little bit too long as the flags fly in, and there'll be a delay of game on the Falcons, and they'll bring them back 5 yards.
Yeah, blessing in the wind there for the Vikings as Dwan James continues to get this running game going for West Hills.
So what was a great 2nd and 2 for the Falcons offense will turn into a 2nd and 7 from the from the 28-yard line. From the 28-yard line of the Vikings, West Hills comes out, white helmets, white jerseys, blue pants, trips out to the far side of the field, and the freshman quarterback, Weinman, will take the snap. Looking for a something, but nowhere to go. He was sacked as soon as he got the ball, and the Vikings bring the pressure up the gut. The safety, Zane Cribbs, flies in, and he'll force a 3rd down.
Vince Seha right there on the quarterback, too.
Pardon me, it was the other safety, Vince Seha. So the ball will go all the way back to the 19-yard line. It'll be a 3rd down with 16 yards to go here in the 2nd quarter. Coming out is a new quarterback now. It's actually Tristan Eames for West Hills. Lining up, looking deep downfield to be a quarterback draw. Making his way past the first defender, but the defender was able to get his hands on it on the draw. And Tristan Eames in his first snap will be taken down after only a gain of 1, and that will force the punt team for the Falcons.
Although they switched quarterbacks on that one, West Hills not feeling very uncomfortable on 3rd and long as they were able to complete a 3rd down conversion on 3rd and 20 earlier on in the game, but as the defense forces a 4th and about 15 for West Hills.
10 minutes left in the 2nd quarter of play. The Vikings defense, despite the fact that they let Dwan James rip off a huge run, have come back, have found their disciplined play, and have showed up huge so far in this game. An offsides on the Vikings here. As the punt is up, it's a low knuckleball. It'll drop down at the 43-yard line, and it'll continue to roll out of bounds out to the Vikings' 49-yard line. A flag flew on the field as Trey Pierce was the man who jumped off sides. So as we get a clarification on the field by the head lineman, it turns out that number 3, Trey Pierce, was able to get back before the ball was snapped, so there was no flag on the field. Great communication by this refereeing staff as the Vikings will get a tremendous starting field position from the 49-yard line of the Falcons. If you can't do anything from starting your offensive drive on the opposition's side of the field, I don't know what you can do. From the far hash mark, working right to left. Dylan Graham will come out at quarterback once again. Flag flies in. It's a free play. Rolling out to his right, looking deep downfield, trying to toss it out, but he just throws it out of bounds. A defensive lineman jumped off sides for the Falcons, so the Vikings will get a 1st down and 5 from the 44-yard line.
Exchanging offsides on that one. The Vikings were able to get back, but West Hills not being able to get back on that one as the free play occurs on 1st down.
So despite the fact that he wasn't able to get much on the free play, Dylan Graham is able to lead his team out to the 44-yard line of the Falcons, as the Vikings will face a 1st and 5 from there. 1st and 5, 9:37 left in the 2nd quarter of play. The Vikings lead after 2 defensive touchdowns, 14-7. Now the offense will try to find the end zone for the first time tonight. From the far hash mark, Graham is there in the pistol. 3 receivers off to the near side of the field. 3-3 stack look. Dropping back, looking deep downfield, tosses it up, and it's tipped up in the air at the last possible moment. The intended receiver on the play was number 88 for the Vikings. That was Justin Zimmer, but unfortunately at the end of the play, a great defensive play by Tyrese Washington, diving down, showing off that right hand of glory, and he was able to tip it away at the very end of the play.
Excellent zone defense right there by number 9, David Hamilton. Excuse me. Number 9, Tyrese Washington for West Hills Coalinga. As they were able to stack up the receivers on that one. Seemed to get a little bit of confusion on that one as they ran into each other, but great play there by Washington.
Graham comes out in the pistol once again. He hands it off this time to Struggs Kofer. He's
got
finally
some
sideline out to the 30-yard line,
yeah.
out to the 15-10, continuing to carry the pile as he's brought down at the 3-yard line, and a terrific play from the backup running back out of Liberty High School. Sturgis Kofer shows off the speed as he hit that sideline, and he'll put the Vikings in the red zone for their first time today. First and goal from the 4-yard line. The Vikings will hurry up out to the field in the pistol once again. From the far hash mark, Graham lines up. He hands it off this time off the left side of the offensive line, continuing to turn his feet, diving into the end zone. Austin Williams gets into the end zone to put the Vikings up 20-7 on their first offensive touchdown of the season.
The Vikings putting in the power running back number 26, Austin Williams out of Concord, California, being able to push his way forward, getting behind the big offensive lineman, shoving his way into the end zone.
And he ran it right off the rear end of Jacob Fellafine, the 6'4", 320 freshman out of Concord, California, playing at Clayton Valley High School. A great job by that Vikings team. They got a little assistance from the offsides on that play, but they really found a little bit of their groove by the two running backs, Austin Williams and Terrell Sturgis Kofer, as they line up. Abbas clears his third PAT of the game, and the Vikings officially go up 21-7. 9:12 left in the second quarter, and the Vikings are looking to tear this one away early here in Viking Stadium. You're tuned in to DVC football here on Vikings Sports Network. Darrell White and Jonathan Murphy here to return the kick, but they haven't had any chance as Abbas has shown off his huge right leg. Abbas lines up, jotting forward, getting out to the 35-yard line of the Vikings, kicking it deep, and this won't be returnable. Out to the 2-yard line, fielded out to the 15, 20, cutting his way to the sideline, 25-yard line. He'll stumble out of bounds in between the 25 and the 30, and that's where West Hills will start their next offensive drive. Officially at the 29-yard line, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Falcons.
As West Hills comes back onto the field, they're going to look to get the ball back to their running back here, as they've utilized the rushing offense here against DVC.
Yeah, we'll give you some stats at the halftime, but DeJuan James has definitely ripped it off for the Vikings so far. And they'll be called for an illegal substitution with 12 men on the field. So once again, the Falcons shoot themselves in the foot to kick off their offensive series. So it was a 1st and 10 from the 29-yard line, will now be a 1st and 15 from the 24-yard line. 1st and 15. Weinman comes out. All right, pardon me, that's Tristan Ames, who has come into the game as the quarterback for the Falcons. He lines up and zips it deep down the field. It's intercepted out to the 30-yard line, finding a little bit of leg, cutting it to the sideline. 10, 5, pushed out of bounds right over there, and that's a second interception of the day from the Vikings. Number 24 was the man who intercepted the ball for the Vikings. That's the defensive back, Ronnie Preston.
Great coverage there by Preston, number 24 out of Deer Valley. Amazing job there, getting the reception. And what I liked on that play was the highlight. It was the run after catch. Indeed. He got the interception. He was able to put some yards down and get the Vikings into good offensive position here into the red zone.
So once again, a dead ball on the play, and it's a personal foul on the Vikings, so taking back 15 yards. But a great job from the backup defensive back, Ronnie Preston, being able to go out there and intercept the first pass off the arm of Tristan Ames.
Yeah, run after catch for Ronnie Preston on that one, getting them inside the 10-yard line. Unfortunately, they get a penalty on this one. And it sends them back near the 20-yard line, but great job there by defensive back Ronnie Preston.
So his brother is the kicker, and now the quarterback, Tristan, has thrown an interception. Still inside the red zone after the great return after the interception, and the Vikings will face a 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Pistol set for the Vikings from the near hash mark. Once again, they're working right to left. 3 receivers out to the far side of the field. Dropping out on the ground as Sturgis Kofer is able to make something out of nothing, continuing to shake off defenders as he's brought down at the 16-yard line. Graham fumbled the snap, and then Sturgis Kofer was able to pick it up and make a run for himself, getting a nice pickup of 4 on the play.
Yeah, like you said, Sturgis Kofer making something out of nothing. I mean, getting the penalty after the play and then a little fumble on that one, but Tyrell Sturgis Kofer making something out of nothing.
So it'll be a 2nd and 4 for the Vikings as they come out in that pistol look once again. Pistol, fake the handoff, tossing out to Dominguez. Dominguez showing his speed as he's brought down just right by the sticks. It'll likely be a 3rd down and inches here.
Yeah, Dominic Dominguez out of Freedom, California. Freedom High School out of Oakley, California, getting the reception on that one. Almost getting to the 1st down, twisting his body, and it's going to be very close.
For the Vikings at right tackle as Jason Kennedy was taken off the field. Dropping back, Ram pressure all up in his face. He fumbles the ball at the end of the play. He'll have to dive back on it, but the back up right tackle, J.J. Hunter, is able to get down on top of it. So on 3rd down and inches, the Vikings will lose about 15 on the play, and they'll have to send out their field goal unit.
Yeah, it couldn't seem like number 12, Dylan Graham, could not get handle of the snap on that one, but backup tackle, J.J. Hunter, heads up play on his part, hustling over and getting on top of the fumble.
J.J. Hunter is quite the big offensive lineman here. 6'5", 345 pounds, the right tackle.
And they're going to go for the field goal on this one, 4th and forever.
So a 41-yard field goal attempt off the right leg of Abis now. He lines up, awaits the snap by Sahagan, and it's blocked down onto the field. Diving on top of it is the Vikings. And what seemed to be a golden opportunity to score after the interception was taken out at the 3-yard line has turned into a catastrophe as the defense of the Falcons has shown their teeth, and they make a stop out to the 31-yard line. So the defense has really been excellent so far in this game. 2 defensive touchdowns for the Vikings, and they're the reason they're up 21-7.
Definitely the reason for the Vikings to be staying in this game is their marvelous defensive showcase here tonight. And we're going to see if they can keep it going as they have 2 defensive touchdowns on the board for the Vikings.
Timeout on the field. The Vikings don't like what they see. They saw a stack up in the slot from West Hills and another wide receiver on the near side of the field, and they just didn't have enough defensive backs there. So a heads-up timeout call by number 6, the nickel corner, Darrell Walker. And so with the timeout, we'll take a quick timeout on the field as well. The Vikings are up 21-7 with 6:31 left in this second quarter of play. You're tuned into DVC football here on the Viking Sports Network. The Vikings come out on defense once again. 1st and 10 for the Falcons as they hand off the jet sweep action, making his way out to just about the 31-yard line before he was leveled down. Zane Cribb, the safety, came up to fill the gap, and he did so with authority there.
Yeah, an excellent defensive showcase shown here by number 31, Zane Cribb, keeping contained and also being able to come up on the ball carrier on that one. Excellent pursuit there by Zane Cribb.
After a great tackle and a gain of 1, the Vikings defense comes out to the field facing a 2nd and 9 from this West Hills offense. From the far hash mark, Will Wyman comes out at quarterback once again, trips out to the bottom of the screen. He'll get the snap, 3-step drop, looking down the field. He's going to run it, getting out to the 20-yard line, out to the sideline, and he'll be pushed out of bounds at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, West Hills running a double slants on that one. Wyman looking over, observing the field, and seeing nothing there, taking off on his own.
So that's what a freshman quarterback will do. When they get pressured, they'll run it. 3rd and about 7 now from the 34-yard line of the Falcons. They're working left to right. So, looking towards the sideline is Wyman, as Wyman scans the field, observing the defense as the Vikings have gone man across the board. Dropping back, looking towards the 3rd option now, toss it deep down the field, has a man there, and the Vikings are able to break it up at the last second. They tried to pick on Torontre Pierce once again, but he answers the call as he almost comes up with the interception himself.
Yeah, Jaden Day on that one, targeted right there by Wyman for West Hills Coalinga. But again, Torontre Pierce, excellent defensive job here for the Vikings. What seemed to be an open post route for West Hills Coalinga, trying to get something going on the deep ball there, testing Torontre Pierce.
I'm starting to see why Coach Dar had so much hype behind this defense. The 6'3", 191 corner is leading the charge so far for the Vikings. The transfer out of LMC to DVC now, he's definitely showing he belongs here in the big leagues. Isaac Lindgren comes out, and he'll boot one up in the air. It's not a very good punt. It'll drop down at the 40-yard line of the Vikings before taking a little bit of a Vikings hop. And it should be fielded down at the 39-yard line. We'll see where they officially say so. And yes, it is at the 39-yard line, right on the C of the DVC Vikings logo. The Vikings will start another offensive series. .449 in the second quarter of play. The Vikings are up 21-7, and they'll get the ball from their own 38-yard line. 1st and 10 from the 38. Vikings come out in the pistol spread. Graham is the quarterback once again. He hands the ball off to Austin Williams. Austin Williams up the gut, north and south, continues to drive almost to his knees, but he finds a way out to the after a 9-yard game to the 47-yard line, and a great pickup on 1st down will make it 2nd and 1.
Yeah, power run play right there by the Vikings, led by number 64 offensive lineman Carson Reitman, leading the power right there, gaining up yards and getting to 2nd and 1 for the Vikings.
So a shift 64 checks in the game at right guard now as Christopher Slaughter, the starting right guard, moves to right tackle. Handoff once again, cutting it back out to the 40-yard line. Tries to make a jump cut, but is wrapped up there at the 40-yard line. Another great pickup by Austin Williams on 2nd down and 1. The Vikings rip off a great run out to the 40-yard line, and they're finding their groove.
Austin Williams getting loose tonight for the Vikings, showing off what he can do on the ground with his legs, getting into open field and also being able to burrow over some tacklers.
The Vikings come out in that pistol look once again from the far hash marks. They'll work in the pistol set. 2 receivers to the far side of the field, and they hand it off this time around to Sturgis Kofer. Sturgis Kofer, not much room to run as he just tries to get back to the original line of scrimmage, and getting about a few inches on the carry. He'll be 2nd and 9.
Yeah, big hit and great containment right there by number 95, Chavez Jenkins, a 6'4", 280-pound freshman. The defensive lineman for West Hills Coalinga right there on the solo tackle against the Vikings.
Yeah, in the 3-3 stack, the defensive linemen are essentially just supposed to take up space so their defensive backs and linebackers can make the play. But when you make a play like that, that is just house money.
Oh, yeah, makes everybody's job easier on that one.
2nd and 9, looking towards the flats. It's caught down by Dominguez as Dominguez makes a stretch grab, but he only makes a gain of 1 on the play. So the Vikings will face a 3rd and long now after only gain of inches. So it'll be 3rd and 9 with 2:41 left in this second quarter of play. Third and long, the Vikings are beginning to stall out as they work with some lateral passing. After a great start from their running back, Austin Williams, on this drive, Williams checks back into the game. From the near hash mark, trips out to the far side of the field. Dylan Graham gets the snap, 3-step drop, looking deep downfield, has nowhere to go. Running it, flips his hips, tosses out to the sideline. It's caught by Sahagan, and he'll step out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Flags flew in at the very end of the play, and that'll likely be a holding call on the Vikings. If it stands, Sahagan had plenty of yardage to get the first down, but as the referees deliberate, we'll await a call from the headlines judge.
Yeah, Dylan Graham keeping the play alive on that one, rolling out to the left side, finding his reliable receiver, Roman Sahagan, right there on the sideline. He was just hanging out there, but seems that the play is going to come back on a holding call.
Offense, number 59, the left tackle, Tyler Clemens, the sophomore out of Martinez, California, is called. So the Vikings will face a 3rd and 19 from their 49-yard line. It's been a lot of lateral passing by Dylan Graham. He had 1 pass that had the potential to go long, but so far, the Vikings haven't found much off the right arm of the freshman. Looking to change that now. Graham steps back, tosses it out to a screen. That's a flow screen, trying to make his way out, and he'll be brought down by the waist out at the 50-yard line, so he'll lose 1 on the play. And trying to get a number right now on the receiver. That was number 9, David Hamilton, the freshman out of Alameda, California. He'll be brought down, and the Vikings will have to punt.
Loss on the play, 4th and 20. Incoming is 25,
Christopher Abbas comes out once more. Originally, German Acosta was supposed to be the punter and was supposed to be the place kicker, but Abbas has taken all the reps so far today. Great job by him. Awaiting at the 50-yard line now from midfield. Abbas gets a punt. It will be a knuckleball punt, fielded down, and it's dropped at the 11-yard line. His knees are on the ground as he retains possession, but the Falcons will get their last offensive drive of the second quarter, likely starting at their 11-yard line. So instead of a 2-minute drill, it's a 43-second drill, and we'll see what the Falcons are able to do here. We'll see if they try to go deep down the field or if they elect to just run the ball a few times and go into the half down 21-7. .2 seconds left. And the Vikings defense, which has been so dominant so far today, will take the field once again. Coming out in the shotgun snap. This time around, it's Wyman once again. They hand it off on the draw to Dewan James. Dewan James breaking 2 tackles in the backfield before getting out past his line of scrimmage out to the 26-yard line. Or pardon me, that's the 16-yard line. And the clock will continue to turn. 27 seconds counting down. And with 33 seconds left on the play clock, we'll see if they elect to run another play. Lineman, Dewan James, the 2 in the backfield for the Falcons. Looking deep downfield, they'll toss it up, and there's a chance to make an interception, but no, the strong hands by Josh Robinson was able to bring it down at the 48-yard line. So they go deep, and they have a chance for a Hail Mary now.
Yeah, big play there on second down, hitting Josh Robinson right there down the sideline, trying to eat up some yards right there to possibly maybe get a field goal or into the end zone at the end of the first half for West Hills Coalinga. But great connection there to Josh Robinson.
Yeah, and Robinson right there, he was the man. He was underneath the ball, so it looked like the DVC defensive back on the play. I believe that was the nickel cornerback, Darrell Walker. He looked like he had a better shot at the ball, but the 50-50 ball went the way of the Falcons. And at this timeout, they'll look to see if they can drop their best Hail Mary play and their best Aaron Rodgers impression. 4 seconds left in this second quarter of play. The Vikings are leading 21-7. There's a timeout on the field, and they'll take the field one last time here. The Vikings defense has given up a few big plays here in this first half of play, but so far they have been absolutely dominant, taking two balls from the Falcons offense into their own end zone. The first one was a strip sack fumble return for a touchdown, and the second was a great interception going all the way. Stacks out to the north and south. They toss the ball up, and it's off the hands of the receiver. The intended receiver on the play was Jonathan Murphy as they tried to go back to him. And with that, it brings us to halftime. The Vikings lead 21-7 here in Viking Stadium, kicking off the 2019 football season. We'll take a quick break before coming back for a little bit of halftime stats if we can pull that up here. You're tuned into DVC football here on Vikings Sports Network. 2 minutes left in this halftime break. We'll bring you a little bit of an update. So there's been a hiccup with the live stats, so unfortunately we will not be having any live stats for this game. But we'll recap some of the action that we've seen on the field. So to kick things off, the Vikings on defense, they got a strip sack fumble return for a touchdown. That put the Vikings up 7-0 early on. After the fact, the offense for the Falcons found a little bit of a seam in their running game. DeJuan James ripped off a huge run, 60-plus yards for a touchdown, and that tied up the game at 7-7. But right after that, the Vikings, Tanner Cooper, the defensive back, the dime corner actually, he was able to get a brilliant play. He tipped the ball up, and rather than having a tip throw to another defender, he tipped it up to himself, and he took it 60 yards plus for the touchdown himself. And then lastly, the Vikings were able to find a little bit of space on offense, and their running game developed into something special as they were able to get their only offensive touchdown in the game. So 2 defensive touchdowns, an offensive touchdown. That makes up the 21 points for the Vikings, and then an offensive touchdown from the West Hill College Falcons puts them 7 to make it 21-7.
And we'll see a spotlight on number 4, DeJuan James, the running back for West Hills Coalinga. We're going to keep a spotlight on him for the second half as he's been able to eat up a lot of yards on the ground, been able to use his legs and power through defenders, being able to eat up yards after first contact, probably averaging around 5 yards after first contact, and he's showing a great job on the ground. And we might also see some more from number 84, wide receiver Jonathan Murphy, as Weinman for West Hills has been able to target Jonathan Murphy a couple times, but we might be able to see him go after him a little bit more in the second half. And from the Vikings side, we're going to see more from the defensive side from the Vikings, as we've seen 2 defensive scores put on by the Vikings defense, and we're going to see if they can continue to keep that going in the second half. And for the Vikings offense, we've seen runs from number 4, Tyrell Sturgis-Cofer, and also number 26, Austin Williams, the running back, the dual-headed dragon backfield for the Vikings. Austin Williams and Tyrell Sturgis-Cofer. As the first half starts to conclude, we're coming back, and we're going to be ready for Vikings football here at Viking Stadium.
So Max Agress here on play-by-play, and we're going to have a switch up on color now as Logan Nones is going to go over to the camera work, and we're going to bring on our friend Oscar Martinez, getting his first reps at color this season. So Oscar, you excited, man?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for tonight.
So we got Oscar coming in at color, and then Noah Williams has finally showed up. My friend right over here will be on the scoreboard. So that is our production team here on the Viking Sports Network. Getting ready for the second half of play now. The Vikings are up 21-7. They're out there in their green helmets, gray jerseys, and gray pants as they kick it off from right to left. Christopher Abbas out to kick it for the Vikings. He'll jot up to the ball, kick it deep down the field, and be fielded shy of the goal line out to the 5-yard line. Make his way out to the sideline, has a seam out to the 25-yard line, gets out to the 30-yard line and tackled down just shy of the 30 out to the 29-yard line. And the returner on the play was Jonathan Murphy for the Falcons. So after the return, it'll go about 4 yards past if he would have called a fair catch or if it would have been a touchback. And a flag flies in as well, so the chains will move back. And the good starting field positioning from the 29-yard line will move its way back about 15 yards here. So tough starting field position now for West Hills.
Ball placed at the 15-yard line after the penalty assessment. First and 10 for the Falcons.
It'll be 1st and 10 from the 15-yard lines for the Falcons now as they try to see what they can do to start off the second half of play. They come out. And that will be number 4, DeJuan James on the carry that time around, and it'll be 2nd down and 8. 2nd and 7 now from the 18-yard line. The West Hill College offense led by the quarterback, Will Weinman, alongside DeJuan James. Will take it from the far hash mark. They're working left to right as the Vikings come out in a man-to-man defense. Waiting the snap is Weinman from the far hash mark. Matt Estrada finally gets the snap off, standing deep in the pocket, going all the way downfield, and it's broken up at the last second. Zane Cribb was right there on defense as the Vikings double covered the intended receiver, and it will force a 3rd down now. Jonathan Murphy has been the deep threat. The slot receiver, standing 5'9" at 170, has really shown off the speed, but the Vikings have competed all the way down the field. From the far hash mark, shotgun snap, awaiting for Weinman. Trips out to the near side of the field. Weinman looks to his sideline after the Vikings show their hand a little too early. The linebacker, Evita Muuga Clemens, out of College Park High School right across the street, was showing blitz, and they'll make a check at the line. But unfortunately for the Falcons, they took quite a bit too much time, so they'll be forced to take a timeout to stop the delay of game. So a quick timeout by the Falcons will force them to use up their first second-half timeout in the second half. So we'll take a quick break here with 14:01 left in this 3rd quarter of play. You are tuning in to DVC football here on the Viking Sports Network. So, after the quick timeout, it'll be a 3rd and long, a 3rd and 7 officially on the field from the 18-yard line. 14:01 left as West Hills comes back from the 18-yard line.
Yeah, right now they got about 4 linemen down, lined up for Hills right now, and
the Vikings send 4 right over there as they make Weinman push out of bounds. He's going to reverse the field and be taken down. No, he tosses the ball away at the very last second, but great pressure from the defensive line of the Vikings will force a 4th down.
That was a great call from the coach. Decided to put some pressure on the offense, and it got the job done.
And that's what the Vikings love to do. They live and die by the blitz, and that time around the blitz came up huge as they forced the freshman quarterback to retreat into his own side of the field and then chuck one up on the sideline. Isaac Lindgren comes out to punt the ball once again for this West Hills offense. The deep man back for the Vikings is Sahagan. Punt is up. It's a high punt, but it won't go very far as it takes a bounce at the 40-yard line, and it'll be fielded down there. So a very short punt. It went from the 19 to the 42-yard line, and the Vikings will have great field position here from the 48 of the Falcons.
Yeah, the main thing I've been seeing all night is the pressure has been definitely helping the Vikings all night long. It's proven right there on the special teams. The pressure got close to the punter. Punter got nervous and gave him a good bounce on the end.
Officially a 23-yard punt on the play, so the Vikings will have to cap something big on offense. Last time they took the field, they struggled getting towards the end zone. They got a pick 6 out to the 3-yard line, but weren't able to convert. The Vikings will come out with their freshman quarterback, Graham. Graham tosses it. It's caught at the 25-yard line, 20, dragged down from the back of his shoulder pads at the 15-yard line. And that was John Giardi, the 3rd, the freshman out of Danville, California, on the huge reception for the Vikings. Number 7, that was the cornerback, Thaddeus Harris, on the tackle. Gia Giari really put the Vikings up in a great spot there as They will get a 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. So inside the Falcons red zone here, Dylan Graham will come out in the pistol. Pistol formation, they hand the ball off this time around. Being tackled right at the line of scrimmage, but still finding a way to fall forward is Tyrell Sturgis-Kofer.
Tyrell Sturgis-Kofer, the ball carrier. 19 on the tackle.
Number 19 is the man on the tackle for West Hills. That is the defensive lineman, Keyshawn Geist.
No gain on the play.
Throughout the night, the offense for the Vikings have been kind of hit and miss, but the mainstay has been our definite running game.
Vikings coming out once again from that spread look inside the 13-yard line. Graham lines up in the pistol right behind him. Tyrell Sturgis-Kofer. There'll be a screen pass. It's caught, making his way out to the 10. 5, strolling into the end zone for a touchdown. David Hamilton, the freshman out of Alameda, California, gets on the board and puts the Vikings up 27-7 with 12:17 left in this third quarter of play.
The offense had trouble in the first half. It came out in the second half and definitely got the momentum going for them.
And I love that play right over there. They fake the draw, and they toss it out in the flow screen to Hamilton. And right there, the screen was just what the doctor called for, pushing the Vikings into the end zone and putting them up by 3 scores here. The kicker, the place kicker, is German Acosta here, as he will line up after the snap. The kick is up, and it's good. And the Vikings take a 28-7 lead with 12:17 left. And the Vikings are starting to take control of this game on offense and defense. We'll take a quick break and be back on the other side as the Vikings take the 28-7 lead here on the Vikings Sports Network.
Nice, they're winning.
12:17 left in this third quarter of play. The Vikings go up 28-7 after the touchdown drive. So what set that up was initially a 23-yard punt that put the Vikings at the 46-yard line. And then from there, the Vikings were able to drive all 46 yards and cap it off on that just about 16-yard reception from David Hamilton. So new man to kick it off now. It's German Acosta who kicks it off, and he has a booming leg himself. You hear the thud from the mic over here, and it goes down to the 1-yard line. Being fielded out to the 25-yard line, wrapped up, continues to stay on his feet as he moves towards the sideline. He's leveled on the sideline. Oh my goodness. Jonathan Murphy had a little nifty return there, but what really put the cap on it was number 13 for the Vikings, the sophomore cornerback, number 14, Matthew Larks, came in and laid the wood there. At the 30-yard line, a positive return of 29 yards. Came off the legs of Murphy. And the Falcons offense will get another shot here from the near hash mark at the 30-yard line. Trips out to the far side of the field, and Weinman comes out to command the offense once again. DeJuan James off his right hip in the shotgun. The lone wide receiver is Jonathan Murphy on the bottom of this field. And a flag flies in, so another execution error as Weinman will get another delay of game. And this seems to be the third offensive drive so far consecutively that has started out with a penalty on the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons are constantly shooting themselves in the foot right now. They need to definitely fix that up.
Ball at the 25-yard line after the 5-yard penalty. 1st and 15 from the 25. Weinman out here with trips out to his left. They motion a receiver from left to right, and they'll hand it off on the jet sweep. No, it'll be a quarterback keeper. Nowhere to go. Filled up right away. Number 30 was the man on the tackle for the Vikings. That's the nose guard, Isaiah Suasue. Great tackle for loss of 3 yards on that play right there. And it'll set the Falcons behind the chains once again. It'll be 2nd and 18 from the 23-yard line.
Snap at the 23.
Awaiting the snap now, Will Weinman. Weinman trips out to the left once again. The Vikings come out in a 3-man front. Sending 4 on the play, looking deep down the field, throwing it to double coverage, making adjustment for the ball, and it's intercepted at the 50-yard line, continuing to move his feet, being spun down in a rodeo style out to the 47-yard line. And Zane Crabb comes up with his first interception of the year. The sophomore safety out of Danville, California, flips the field for the Aggies, and they'll get another starting field position in the second half of play inside the Falcons' offensive zone, or the Falcons side of the field, rather.
This Vikings defense has definitely proven to themselves and to this crowd tonight that they are definitely for real, and they're definitely here to play.
So all the hype from Mike Dart coming into this game, the head coach for the Vikings, has proven to be true as they've held the Falcons out to 7 points, and they put up 28 points themselves, 14 coming from that strong defense. Dylan Graham hands the ball off to Austin Williams. Williams running strong off the right guard, and that was Christopher Strotter leading the way. And just an update. So the right tackle, Jason Kennedy, has been taken off the field on a cart. He's sprained his right knee, according to the doctor, and he'll be out for the rest of the game. So the Vikings have shuffled up their offensive line. They've moved out Christopher Strotter out to right tackle, and they put number 64 Reitman in our right guard.
Falcons come out 3 defensive linemen lining up right now.
Handed off in the pistol, cutting off the left side of the offensive line, gets near the sticks and is able to carry a defender over the top. And the Vikings will get a nice 5-yard pickup on the play out to the 36-yard line. 28-7. 10:26 left in this third quarter of play. The Vikings offense finding some space along the line. Working right to left. Sahagan will line up in the slot alongside David Hamilton to his left. From the near side of the field, the wide receivers will line up, and the Vikings offense will look to the sideline. 10 seconds left. Graham needs to snap it off soon. He's out in the pistol. Press coverage shown as the snap was unexpected. Rolling out to his right, looking deep down the field, toss it up, one-to-one coverage, and the back shoulder fade was thrown a little too far out to the sideline. Dominic Dominguez was the intended receiver, as if the ball was just placed in the right spot. Dylan Graham and Dominguez would have hooked up for a nice play, but unfortunately the snap from Spinelli was just a little too hot and unexpected. Dominguez, after the play, will come off to the sideline, being replaced by number 19. That's Giovanni Hung, the freshman out of Dobchester, Massachusetts. Trips to the near side of the field. The Vikings come out in the pistol. Corner blitz, finding the man across the top. It's caught out to the 10-5, into the end zone for the Vikings touchdown. Chris Miles, the freshman out of Hercules, California, into the end zone for the Vikings, and they go up 34-7 with 9:40 left in the third quarter of play.
Vikings offense is definitely turning it on right now.
Pass caught by number 19, Giovanni Hall. 6 points by King.
Giovanni Hung was actually the man that got in the end zone. It's hard to see from up here in the press box, but the freshman wide receiver out of Dobchester, Massachusetts, that we said checked into the game, has got into the end zone on his very first catch of his Vikings career. German Acosta comes out as flags fly out. He was looking to cross the T on the PAT, but we'll see what the flag is on. It was an illegal substitution by West Hills as there were too many people on the field. And They'll still kick the ball despite the fact that it went half the distance to the goal. So it'll be a shorter PAT attempt now by German Acosta. Sahagan, the man to hold. The snapper, Joseph Wells. Awaiting the snap. Calls for it. Sahagan spots it. And that crosses the T on the PAT as the Vikings go up 35-7 with 9:40 left in this third quarter play. The Vikings have come up and ripped off 14 straight points to start off this second half of play. We're going to take a quick break before coming back for more DVC football action here on the Viking Sports Network. 35-7, the Vikings take the lead with 9:40 left in this second half. German Acosta coming out to kick it off once again. He's taken over the kicking duties here in the second half of play. Acosta jotting towards the ball, shows off the big booming left leg, and this one will be fielded out at the 5-yard line. Taken out to the far sideline, out to the 20, cutting it back out to the 30-yard line, spinning down and taken down at the 36. A great return by Chris Miles, that was Darrell White, number 23 on the play. And a flag flies in at the very end of the play, so we'll see who that is on. So personal foul will be called on DVC after the play, and now move the kickoff even further up. It was taken down at the 32, and they'll move it forward 15 yards. So a good return, but a great starting field spot for this Falcons offense. They'll move the ball all the way into the DVC side of the field, so the Falcons have something to work with here from the 49-yard line of the Vikings. And another hot seat for the quarterback as Kristen Eames comes out and plays quarterback for this Falcons offense. They've officially replaced Weinman once again. Two receiver set, calling for the shotgun, handing it off this time, and there's nowhere to go. Brought down for a tackle for a loss. Number 32 was the man on the play. That's the defensive end, Dion Fualu. And a flag flies in at the end of the play. Loss on the play, but we'll see what the flag is on as the play concluded.
Dion Fualu making that tackle.
And a face mask call on the Vikings despite getting a huge tackle for loss. The Vikings will continue to move deeper into their own side of the field. Waiting for the spot on the field now.
First down at the 34-yard line of DVC.
The 34-yard line of the DVC. Vikings will be the spot. Two running backs in the backfield. As they come out in the shotgun snap, they fake the handoff. It'd be a quarterback keeper being leveled and hit down hard up the gut. The dime corner, Tanner Cooper, came up to fill the gap. And the quarterback, Tristan Eames, had nowhere to go on that play.
Yeah, the nickel came up for that blitz right there, and it did its job.
Tanner Cooper, one of the many defensive backs. The Vikings run a 3-2, and I guess the rest of 3-2-6 here. A very unorthodox defense for this Vikings team that has worked so well throughout the years. They motion the running back, and they hand it off in the jet sweep. That one goes out to Ronnie Garcia, and Garcia is brought down after a minimal gain of 3, and it'll be out to the 31-yard line as they'll face a third and intermediate here.
39.
The clock continues to churn. 8:18 left in this third quarter. The Vikings have the commanding lead, 35-7. 3rd and 7 officially on the field from the 30-yard line. And the quarterback who just checked into the game at the beginning of this drive, Tristan Eames, looks to see if he can lead his team to another first down. 2 running backs set as they motion a running back out into the flats. They toss it out, and it'll be caught down there. It's actually Jaden Day, the wide receiver, who is lined up in the backfield there. He gets the swing pass out into the flats, takes it out to the 29-yard line, and it'll be taken down well short of the first down. It'll be 4th down now, and we'll see what this Falcons team elects to do. It looks like the quarterback will stay on the field. So instead of bringing his brother Cannon Eames out on the field to attempt the field goal, the brother Tristan Eames here at quarterback will work out from the shotgun, trips out to the far side of the field. Eames lines up alongside DeJuan James. Vikings showing a 6-man front here as the snap is off, looking deep towards the end zone. It'll be a quarterback keeper out to the 20-yard line, sliding down into the legs of a DVC defender. And they'll say he is officially brought down at the 21-yard line. That's just enough to make the moves make the chains move. And the Falcons, off the legs of their freshman quarterback, will get a first down into the Vikings territory. 1st and 10 from the 21-yard line. The Falcons are knocking on the red zone of the Vikings. Their 1 touchdown day came off a huge 40-yard plus run. So they'll see if they can do it the nitty-gritty way here as they work from the near hash mark. Trips out to the left. Dropping back, tossing it deep down the field, and that's lost in the abyss of the black end zone of the Vikings as that ball was tossed to nobody. Great coverage on the play and miscommunication from the freshman quarterback, and it'll make it 2nd and 10 from the 21. .6:25 left in this 3rd quarter. The Vikings defense is starting to bend. We'll see if they can stop it from breaking. Eames comes in the shotgun once again. DeJuan James, the sophomore out of Mobile, Alabama, off his left hip, trips to the far side of the field. Fakes the handoff on the draw. It's a quarterback keeper this time around, surveying the field, and is eventually brought down hard. He was taken down top down by DN Folau, and Tristan Eames gets a nice little pickup on the play, but he was taken down hard, and you hate to see those hits on your quarterback if you're the Falcons head coach. Third and just about 7 here as they line up on the 17-yard line. They, of course, the Falcons offense. The left tackle, George Escalante, pointing out to the middle linebacker who's showing blitz here on the play. The Vikings move 3 defensive linemen out to the near side of the field, and they put a linebacker right to rush on the guard. Offsides on the defense, working out to his left, toss it one-on-one into the end zone, and that was way too far thrown back. A flag will fly in at the end of the play as the nickel corner, Daryl Walker, just pushed his offensive player out of bounds there. The intended receiver was number 6 on the play for the Falcons. That was Daryl Walker. Or, pardon me, looking at the Vikings roster right over here. That is Trevor Jackson. So there was 2 flags on the play. One was an offsides, and the second was a pass interference about 7 yards deep in the end zone. So you'd assume that they take the latter, and the West Hills offense will march their way all the way down into the nitty-gritty end zone of the Vikings. So as they walk back to just about their 2-yard line, the Vikings defense will face a very difficult situation here.
And Max, I just wanted to add
pardon me, real quick. The ball was deemed ineligible or uncatchable, so there is no pass interference on the play. So we'll move it forward on the offsides penalty.
I just wanted to add this drive has been going mostly because of the Vikings' mistakes more than the Falcons' offense. So they're building up momentum, and this could actually lead to a very momentum type of touchdown if they get it right now.
So, like you said, there will be quite a bit of momentum if they can drive all the way down the field and score a touchdown in this fashion. They hand the ball off to DeJuan James. DeJuan James running up the gut of that DVC defense. And on 3rd and 1, they get about 3 on the carry, and now move the ball inside the 10-yard line out to the 9-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Falcons offense right over there at the 9.
And if I was in the goal line, I would definitely hand it up to number 4 right now because he's most definitely getting the work done.
And it's a quarterback keeper this time around, taking it on the read option. And the quarterback, Tristan Eames, who checked into this game at the beginning of this second half of play, has led his team all the way into the end zone for a West Hills College touchdown. So that cuts the Vikings lead from 35-7 to 35-13 with 5:14 left in this third quarter of play. That is the difference between Weinman and Tristan Eames. Eames seems to be more of a runner, whereas Weinman was a traditional pocket passer. And the running game and the read option for West Hills has proven to be the package that they're going with so far. The kick is up. They ran into the kicker as well, so there'll be a 15-yard penalty at the end of the play. The kick is up, and it goes through the upright, so more flags fly into the field right over there. So it is definitely a roughing the kicker call at the end of that play, as Cannon Eames, the brother of the quarterback who just scored the touchdown, Tristan Eames, is able to cross the T on the PAT. So we'll wait the call on the field, and we'll see what West Hills decides to do. So the kick blocking unit seems to be coming back onto the field for the Vikings. We'll see if they elect to go for it for go for 2 rather after getting that shorter field. Still a lot of deliberation by this refereeing crew right over here. The flag still lies on the field at the 14-yard line. So a good catch here in the booth by one of our good friends here. And the original try was actually no good. It looked like it went through the uprights, but I guess the angle was just a little too hard to catch. So roughing the kicker and a personal foul. And now give West Hills another opportunity to try it for the PAT. Lining up, the ball will be snapped from about the 1.5-yard line of the Vikings. And Cannon Eames will line up for the second attempt at the PAT. Waiting the snap. Snap is off. Kick is up. And that's no good once again. Wide left. So knuckleball off the foot of Cannon Eames. And now keep the Vikings lead at 35-13. 5:14 left in this third quarter. We'll take a quick break as we await the next kickoff here in Viking Stadium. The Vikings lead 35-13 here on the Vikings Network. So we'll get a very interesting starting kickoff as it's directly from midfield, straight up on the V of the Vikings DVC midfield logo. Camden Eames, rather. Or no, pardon me, they have another kicker out on the field right over there. That's the wide receiver, Jacob Coalinga, lining up to kick the kickoff. The kick is up, and it'll be a short kick fielded at the 5-yard line, out to the 20 and out to the 15 and dropped down right over there at the 16-yard line. So rather than just booting it deep and giving the Vikings the starting field position at the 25-yard line, they decide to go for a little bit of a shorter kick, and it pays off as the Vikings will get their opening starting field position here, or their starting field position on this offensive drive, starting at the 16.
Vikings will start from their own 15-yard line.
Vikings right over here will face a 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line. They're working right to left. In between the hash marks, the freshman quarterback, Dylan Graham, comes out in the pistol. Pistol spread for the Vikings. The running back is Austin Williams. Fake the handoff to Williams, drop him back, has time to throw, pressured out to his left-hand side. He tosses it off his back foot, and that's almost caught along the near sideline. The intended receiver was Justin Zimmer on the play. He was hit down hard by the cornerback Thaddeus Harris, but it'll likely be a holding call on the Vikings, and it'll push it back and make it a first and 20.
Penalty flag.
64, the backup right guard, checking into this game because of the injury to the right tackle, Jason Kennedy, early in this game. There'll be a 10-yard penalty, and the Vikings will face a 1st and 20 here from the 7-yard line. So it's 1st and 20 from the Vikings 8-yard line as they continue to move in the wrong direction right over here after these penalties. They come out in that same pistol spread look between the hash marks. Dylan Graham lines up, man-to-man coverage across the board with the single high safety for West Hills. Sprinting out to his left, looking deep down the hill, side-armed, and that's Justin Zimmer as the intended receiver. He was not able to get the ball as it was tossed just a few inches too far ahead of him. And the Vikings will face a 2nd and 20 here.
Direction 2nd and 20.
Between the hash marks, once again, the Vikings will line up. They'll huddle up for a second, despite the fact that they're predominantly a no-huddle team, as they need to drop something big here on 2nd and 20 from their 8.
For sure, because if they don't, I have a feeling the Falcons' defense is definitely going to get more confident throughout the game.
4:55 left. The Vikings are working right to left. They line up between the hash marks with the freshman quarterback, Dylan Graham, alongside Justin Williams in the pistol. 3-step drop, standing the field, looking deep down the field, toss up, and that hits the back of the defender. Zorian Temple was the man on defense there as the intended receiver just had nowhere to go, and another flag flies into the field, so it'll likely be another holding call on the Vikings, and this one will go half the distance to the goal. Number 73 this time around, so that's the backup right tackle, J.J. Hunter, who got called for the hold. So a whole entire musical chair movement from this offensive line of the Vikings as they've just shifted all their offensive linemen just around the field. So it'll be 3rd and 17 after the holding call, and the Vikings will push out to trips to the near side of the field as they await the snap between the hash marks. Dylan Graham gets the snap, has time to throw, rolling out to his right, pressured at the end of the play, sidearms it into the legs of his intended receiver. That was number 26, his tailback, Austin Williams, the intended receiver on the play. And now the Vikings will have to punt it deep in their own end zone. And we'll see how big of a kick they'll be able to get off. 36, Herman Acosta comes out to punt it once again. So after a great first half by Christopher Avis, Herman Acosta has taken over the kicking duty, so I don't know if it was an injury from the side of Avis or if Acosta is getting his fair share of split reps here. But he will have a difficult task as the up men line up on the goal line, and he has a low spiraling punt. This is a bad one. Dropped down at the 35-yard line, picked up at the 38-yard line, and that'll be a fielded kick down to the 35-yard line of the Vikings. So terrific starting field position for the Falcons as they come out on the next offensive drive.
Football at the 35.
The football is placed at the 35-yard line. It's the same as how many points the Vikings have put up today, 35-13 here. And the Falcons look to add on to the 13 after a great drive from their freshman quarterback who checked in the game. Tristan Eames led the way with his read option football. And we'll see if he continues to use his legs to move the chains. 1st and 10 from the Vikings 35. They motion the wide receiver out into the backfield, toss it deep down the field, and it'll be tipped up in the air twice on the play. It looked like the man in coverage, Anton Tanner, was the receiver on the play because he was the one that had the opportunity to make the play, and the intended receiver by the Falcons, Jonathan Murphy, had to switch roles and play defensive back there.
Yeah, West Hills is definitely been testing our corners, the Vikings corners all night. So they're trying to throw another one bomb and see if they can get lucky.
That was actually Raymond Spiff, the freshman out of Baltimore, Maryland. He was the intended receiver on the play, but great coverage by Anton Tanner on that last play. 2 receivers in the backfield, and they hand it off in the sweep action to DeJuan James. DeJuan James is absolutely leveled there. He was chopped down late the lumber, and that's a huge fill from that gap by Brandon Fa'atalele. The Polynesian connection between DVC is very strong. These names have a lot of syllables in them. So after the failed run right over there, DeJuan James got the ball in the sweep, but was taken down far behind the line of scrimmage. The Vikings defense is standing stout here as they force a 3rd and 13. Handoff on the draw. DeJuan James, oh, pardon me, that's Ronnie Garcia making his way out to the 28-yard line. It'll be very close to the sticks, out to the 29. It'll be 4th down and 1 here. And if the pass tells us what the Falcons are going to do, they'll likely keep their quarterback on the field and run that read option.
Devon Thomas, 44, helping to make the tackle.
Looking towards the sideline here. It's 4th and a full yard here from the 26-yard line of the Vikings. And they line up once again in that dual back set. They're bringing in the wide receiver, Jaden Day, into the backfield and motioning him out at the beginning of the play. They hand it off in the reaction. No, it's a quarterback keeper. This time out to the 15-yard line, brought down right over there at about the 16-yard line, actually. And the read option works once again here for this West Hills offense as the quarterback on the play, Tristan Eames, seems to be hobbling off the field. So the freshman original starter, Will Weinman, will see if he can cap it off. Actually, no. Number 8 checks into the game now, so Will Wyman has been benched all the way, and Ramon Ortega will be the quarterback for the Falcons. Going deep down their depth chart at quarterback now, Ramon Ortega, the freshman out of Delano, California, will see if he can lead his team on 1st and 1 at the 16-yard line. In the red zone, they take way too long, and there'll be a 5-yard penalty on the delay of game. So that's not a great start if your quarterback checking into the game for the first time. It seemed like this West Hills offense has kept shooting themselves in the foot all night long. I can't think of a single offensive possession that came laundry-free. Ortega shouts a command out to his offensive line as he works out in the near hash mark. Jaden Taylor and Ronnie Garcia in the backfield. And pardon me, that was Dewan James who runs backwards into his own side of the field and will be tackled down for a huge loss on the play. They'll mark it down officially at just about the 26-yard line of the Vikings. So they said his forward progression got him out that far, and he was bounced back by a Vikings defender before being taken down. So they'll stop it right over there. 2nd and 20 from the 26-yard line. 1:18 left and counting down in this third quarter of play. The Vikings defense looking towards their defensive coordinator on the sideline as they come out in the muddle look. All the defensive linemen aren't getting set. They're moving on their feet, and they're confusing the front of Ramon Ortega. Ortega pushes his receiver out as he tosses it deep into the end zone. It'll be fielded, and it'll be caught right over there, taken down in the end zone. So we'll see if that's a touchback. The referee actually marked it down at the 1-yard line, so that's a great interception right over there from the Vikings defense. They read the eyes of Ramon Ortega, and Ortega just chucked one up in the end zone for another interception for the Vikings, their 3rd on the day.
This Vikings defense has definitely been putting the pressure on. They've got the sacks, and now they're adding them up with those interceptions.
I believe the man on the interception there was Darrell Walker, the nickel cornerback. The ball is on the 2-yard line, and the Vikings are deep into their end zone after the interception.
54 seconds remaining in the third.
They line up in the pistol spread.
One high
Trips.
safety, just to keep an eye on that one.
Trips out to the near side of the field as they work from the far hash mark. Man-to-man defense. Looking deep down the sideline. Toss it out into the flat. It's caught by Sahagan at the 5-yard line. Shimmying away from a defender, and he makes his way forward 2 yards after the initial contact. Out to the 7-yard line. So a nice little pickup by Sahagan to give the Vikings just a little bit of buffer space as they face a 2nd down. 37 seconds left on the play clock, but only 29 seconds left in this third quarter play. So the Vikings can either take it to the 4th quarter or they can decide to run another play. Last play of the quarter for the Vikings as they line up. Trips out to the far side of the field in the pistol. Graham tosses it out to his running back. Has some space along the far side and then out to the 20. Cutting back inside 25-30. Holding on to the ball as it was almost stripped out, and he gets out to the 30-yard line. And Austin Williams just had a bunch of real estate in front of him. He missed out on one of those catches in the first quarter play, but they run the same exact play and the same exact defense as they saw in that first quarter, and they come up with a huge play, digging themselves all the way out of their own end zone and out to the 30-yard line to kick off this 4th quarter play. After 3 quarters of play here in Viking Stadium, the Vikings lead 35-13. Throw your 4s up. We're going into the 4th here at Viking Stadium. You're tuned into DVC football here on the Viking Sports Network. Flip the field, and the Vikings will work from left to right here as they get out of their own end zone. They'll face a 1st and 10 coming out in the spread pistol. Dropping back as Graham looking deep down the field. Hit as he tosses it deep down the field. Sahagan has to come back for the catch. He's tackled down at the 38-yard line, but a huge pickup of yardage as the Vikings flip from 30 to 30.
He had his choice of wide receivers. They're both down the middle, wide open.
Chucking it up from the 30-yard line, and it'll be officially fielded down at the 35-yard line. So a great reception by Sahagan on that play. 45 yards on the reception. 1st and 10. The Vikings offense finding the groove behind the freshman quarterback. Pistol spread. from the far hash mark for Dylan Graham. Graham alongside Austin Williams in the backfield. Pardon me, that's Terrell Sturgis-Kofer in the backfield as flags fly in. It'll be another delay of game. Oh, pardon me, it's a false start on the Vikings here. That'll be called by the backup right guard, Reitman.
First and a dime is now 1st and 15.
So big body checks out the field. That's Christopher Slaughter, like I alluded to before, 6'7", 415 pounds, the sophomore out of Richmond, California, comes back into his starting right guard position.
That looks like a giant among men right now.
It's because he is a giant among men. Trips to the near side from the far hash mark. Snap off in the pistol. Will be handed off to Sturgis-Kofer. Sturgis-Kofer getting a nice hole off the left side of the line. He'll be brought down at the 30-yard line and make it a 3rd down and 5. Or pardon me, 2nd down and 5.
Throughout the third quarter, I've noticed that Graham, our quarterback, the Vikings quarterback, has definitely gotten more confident with each drive, and I can see the offense starting to rally behind him right now.
Number 80, Thomas Wheelock, checks into the game for the Vikings. Vikings come out in that trips pistol. They toss it out to the right-hand side. It's off to Sturgis-Kofer. Sturgis-Kofer cutting back at the right hash mark, and he gets brought down after a beautiful gain on the play. He'll be taken down at the 19-yard line. A big pickup from this Vikings, and I believe that's actually the first toss that we've seen for this Vikings offense this game. I love the concept, though. Trips out to the near side of the field on the wide side of the field. You have your wide receivers locked up, and they end up being the run blockers as because West Hills was running man-to-man coverage. Trips out to the far side now, and Austin Williams comes back into the game. Running zone right, has some space out to the 10-yard line, diving down right over there to get extra yards. Going to be brought down at the 9-yard line, and that'll be an 11-yard carry on 1st and 10, and he'll move the chains.
Austin Williams doing exactly what I do if I was on the field. Just follow the big man, and they'll lead you to the hole.
If your guard is pulling and you're following him, you're doing the right thing. It'll be 1st and goal here from the 9-yard line. The Vikings offense has shown their dominance, starting with their offensive line. They've been running the ball well, and they've really paid it forward to this defense of the Falcons. Graham tosses it. It's caught by Dominguez, stretching out. Let's see if he gets in the end zone. Waiting for the official call. No, he was brought down short at about the 1-yard line. So a great concept right over there. Dominguez caught the ball, but on a little bit of a rub route, but he wasn't quite able to get in the end zone. So the Vikings, with the ball on the 1-yard line, will face a 2nd and goal. Second and goal. A changeup of receivers for the Vikings as they break the huddle. Wheelock comes out of the game. Pistol trips out to the far side from the far hash mark, or out to the near side rather. The far hash mark, they hand it off to Sturgis-Kofer. Kofer gets into the end zone untouched, and he gets into the end zone once more for the Vikings. 41-13, the Vikings take a huge commanding lead over West Hills. 11:28 left in this game, and the Vikings have really shown their authority here.
First half, the offense was having a very much of an issue keeping themselves sustained on the drives. The second half, they came out with the attitude to prove that they are willing to get down and dirty with the run game and keep opening up the offense with the passing, and this clearly is doing the job.
And despite having a rotation of 2 backup offensive linemen coming, giving in the right guard, Christopher Slaughter, a little bit of a break, they have found their groove in the running game, really wearing down the defense of the Falcons as the kick is up and it's good, and Herman Acosta is able to cross the tee on the PAT once again. But the Vikings have really dug deep. They've shown to be the deeper team, and they put up 42-13 on the board. 11:28. We'll take a break before coming back for the next kickoff here on the DVC Vikings Sports Network. Herman Acosta, after crossing the T on the PAT, he'll come out to kick it off from the 35-yard line. The two men deep for the Falcons will be Jonathan Murphy alongside Darrell White. Acosta shots forward and shows off that left leg. Fielded down at the 10-yard line. He'll be taken towards the far sideline, out to the 25-yard line. Has a seam, taken down at the 30-yard line, and it looked like he was just hang-wired there as number 31 for the Vikings comes up for the tackle. That's Zane Cribb, the starting safety, showing his mark on special teams as well. From the 31-yard line, the West Hills Falcons offense will take the field. We'll see who comes in at quarterback this time around. So it looks like a hobbling Tristan Eames comes out to the field. He's looking like he's walking fairly gingerly on that right foot. We'll see if he's able to command the offense and run that read option like he was doing so well before. They motion the wide receiver. They toss him out into the backfield. It's a lateral, so it's a live ball. It'll be marked out of bounds at the 24-yard line on the fumble on the play, as it was called. They were trying to run a little bit of a play that we would have seen out of, that 2010 Arizona State team with Brock Osweiler. But unfortunately, they didn't have quite the hang of it as they tossed the ball backwards, and it'll be second and long from the 28-yard line.
Yeah, Eames looks like he's still hobbling a little bit from that injury. And it's going to be tough for him to run that RPO if he can't really be mobile anymore.
Trips out to the far side of the field as Eames comes out in the shotgun. Calls for the snap. It's a high snap. Handing it off to his running back, who has some room. Continues to break through the defenders out to the 40-yard line. 30, 20, 10 into the end zone for the touchdown. West Hills College brings in a new running back, and he absolutely tears one out. Sloppy tackling by the Vikings defense leads to an Andrew Davis touchdown. Running from the 28-yard line to the end zone, the Vikings defense gives up a huge run, and that's been the story of the game. Two of the touchdowns from West Hills has come off huge offensive runs. Cannon Eames comes out, and he'll await the snap. Kick is up, and this one's able to go through the uprights. So despite missing the last PAT, he's able to kick one through the uprights this time around, and he'll cut the Vikings lead down to 22 as the Vikings lead 42-20 here. 10:34 left in this game. We'll take a quick break before coming back for this next kickoff here on the Vikings Sports Network. Cannon Eames to kick off here for the Falcons as he lines up 1 yard past his kicking team. It's an onside kick. It'll be fielded by the Vikings out to the 40-yard line, and it'll actually be a fair catch on the play. Number 81 was the up man on that play, and that is the wide receiver, McFall, right over there. So the Vikings will get the ball on the 45-yard line where they called the fair catch. DVC getting some great, awesome offensive field position here as we see what they decide to do. We'll see if they decide to bring in some backups here or if they continue to turn forward with the starting unit. From the 44-yard line, 10:32 left in this first quarter play. And they do bring in the backup quarterback, the 6'4 freshman out of Sebastopol, California, Nick Visser, comes into the game for the Vikings. From the far hash mark, Visser calls for the snap, fakes the handoff, tosses it, and it's behind his receiver. A one-handed grab into a two-handed grab out to the 40-yard line and pushed out of bounds right over there. A great catch by Waylock on the play.
That was a very nice pass by Waylock.
Wheelock just tipped it to himself. The ball was thrown in front of him when he wasn't ready. He was able to get his big mitt out there, tip it, catch it with two hands, and work his way for 10 additional yards down the sideline. After starting out on the 45, they're out to the 40-yard line now. And we'll see what Visser is able to do on his second offensive play. Trips out to the near side of the field. Visser waits the snap. The snap goes behind him. Diving down for it is Austin Williams, the starting running back. He's able to get on top of the ball. West Hills points like they have the ball, and we'll see after the referees get to it. Tossing up two on his hand. So after the botched snap on the play right over there, the Vikings will go all the way back to the 49-yard line and face a 2nd and long. Justin Zimmer checks in the game for the Vikings as he actually has to sprint off the field because the Vikings broke formation before he could get in there. A flag flies in because, like I said, the Vikings broke formation as Zimmer was running out to the field. So as he jotted out to the field, the Vikings have a miscommunication on offense. So despite having it been 2nd and long, they'll turn to 2nd and an eternity now. Shifting from the Falcon side of the field into the Viking side of the field, the backup quarterback will face a big deficit here. From the 46-yard line, pistol for Nick Visser. Visser tosses it out right, cutting back, avoiding a defender, getting all the way out to the 50, has a lane out to the 40, 30, cutting back inside out to the 35, 25, 20, diving down right over there, and it's a huge pickup. The toss play has worked wonders for the Vikings as they move all the way out to the 20-yard line on a huge pickup. 34-yard pickup on the play by the running back there. And the Vikings get the tip of the ball right into the Falcons' red zone. Williams alongside Terrell Sturgis-Kofer will be the two in the backfield for the Vikings. Trips out to the far side of the field. Gets the snap, looking deep down the field, rolling out to his right, has some time to throw, toss it across the middle of the field, and it's caught at the 9-yard line. That's a big pickup by Justin Zimmer on that play. Or pardon me, that was Wheelock once again.
Visser definitely did a good job of going through his progressions and finding his tight end. His wide receiver.
A timeout on the field, and we'll take a quick timeout as well here as the Vikings lead 42-20 here with 8:06 left in this fourth quarter play on the DVC Sports Network. Not even a 30-second timeout here. as the clock continues to turn as well. 7:46 left, so I'm believing it's actually not even a timeout. Pistol for Visser, trips out to his left. They hand it off in the backfield, cutting back after avoiding a defender. And that's a carry by another backup running back who checked in this game, number 39 for the Vikings. That is Desmond Tanuvasa.
Second and goal now from the 6.
The Vikings will face a 2nd and goal from the 6-yard line now. And we'll see what they elect to do. They come out in that same pistol spread look. Visser, the 6'4 quarterback, calls for the snap. He's pressured. He'll run it himself out to the end zone, and he dives in for a Vikings touchdown. 6-yard rush on the play for the backup quarterback, and he's able to lead his team all the way down the field into the end zone, putting the Vikings up 48-20.
Wow, that is one happy quarterback for his touchdown.
As the camera cuts off here, we got a great job by the backup quarterback. He came into the game, he faced a lot of adversity after a botched snap and after a bunch of penalties, but he's able to lead his team down the field. And a great look from him and Dylan Graham as they hug on the sideline. Another tall man on that sideline right over there, former Vikings quarterback Drew Anderson, as the coach, as an assistant coach here for the Vikings here. Herman Acosta kicks it up, and it crosses the T on the PAT, so the Vikings put up 49 points in this game right over here. And it's 49-20 here with 6:50 left in the game. But yeah, going back to what I was saying before, that was actually my quarterback when I played football right over here. Adam Wood and Drew Anderson, my 2 quarterbacks. Drew, I mean, he's one of the success stories coming out of DVC. Ended up playing here and then transferring over to the University of Buffalo all the way out on the East Coast. He set, I don't know how many NCAA records in that record 7 overtime game against Western Michigan. Played his junior campaign there, transferred to Murray State for his senior season, played over there, and he has spent his beginning of his NFL career over with the Arizona Cardinals. Unfortunately, he was recently cut from the practice squad, so he will look to coach over here for the meantime as his agent works forward, looking for another home in the NFL for my former quarterback right over there, Drew Anderson.
No better way than get back to your old college and help prep up some more quarterbacks to come out.
Working out in the morning and coaching at night. He said that was what he does now.
Station near the 6-yard line.
Herman Acosta will be the kicker once more. Taking about 7 yards worth of steps back behind his kickoff unit. He'll kick it off to the 2 return men, Jonathan Murphy and Darrell White. Jotting forward, showing off that left leg once again. It'll be fielded down by Darrell White at the 10-yard line. Making his way out to the 25-yard line, 30-yard line. And it'll be tackled down hard out of bounds. A stiff tackle by the backup defensive back, Antoine Tanner. Actually, the starting defensive back, Antoine Tanner there.
1st and 10, Falcons.
1st and 10 for the Falcons as this game gets into the latter half of the 4th quarter. From the 30-yard line, the Vikings defense will come out to the field once again. They'll rotate some rotational players in as well to get them a little bit of action. This Vikings defense has done so much this far this game, and now we'll get a chance to see what the backups are able to do. Tristan Eames coming out to run the offense for the Falcons once again. Motions his receiver out into the flats. They hand it off, and it's smothered right away. There's nowhere to go. Andrew Davis on the play, got the ball, and, I mean, he was just smothered up. A great tackle by number 28 for the Vikings. That was the defensive back, Jonathan Lamberts.
Just looking at Eames right now, he's looking a little bit more loose, a little bit more comfortable, so maybe this drive will help him get back on the momentum he had before the that little small hiccup in the last series.
2nd and 15 from the 25.
As you heard the lovely voice of John Brown, 2nd and 15 from the 25. They hand it off. No, it's actually a play action as Ramon Ortega rolling out to his right, tosses it off his back foot deep into his wide receiver. He was tossed out to the 35-yard line, and some interference is called at the end of that play, so it's going to be a big pickup of 15 yards on the play, as number 89 was the intended receiver on the play by West Hills. That is Antonio Perez.
It was a smart move by Ortega because he knew he going down the field he was going to have a 50-50 ball or a chance for a penalty. So he got what he wanted in the end, helped move the offense forward, and he got first down now.
The sophomore out of Tempe, Arizona was called for the pass interference on that play. So this isn't the NFL. They walked up to the spot of the initial foul, but then they had to get all the way back out to the 40-yard line, as it's only a 15-yard penalty in college football. From the 41-yard line, Ramon Ortega coming out for his second offensive drive of the game. We'll see what he can do. From the shotgun spread, out from the near hash mark, he hands it off once again, having some space off the right side of the offensive line. Stiffing arm defender out to the 50-yard line, and he's tackled down hard out of bounds at the 48-yard line. That was Andrew Davis once again.
If I can nitpick at anything at the defense tonight, the outside containment has been a little bit loose here and there, so it'll be a good thing to watch on tape during the week for the next game and get that covered up.
Yeah, outside containment and discipline early in the game. Those are the two takeaway points for this Vikings defense. Aside from that, I mean, they've done everything that Coach Starr could have ever asked for.
3 interceptions, a few sacks here and there throughout the quarters. That's a pretty good start to the year.
Shotgun with 2 receivers stacked up on the far side of the field, looking deep down the field, going one-on-one once again, and it's tossed way too far over the top. His receiver is at the 9-yard line. The ball was tossed out to the 3-yard line. Incompletion from the arm of Ramon Ortega. The intended receiver on the play, I'm trying to get a number. That was number 85, the backup wide receiver, Jaden Day. 49-20. Vikings are up with 5:08 left. West Hills facing a 2nd and 10 from the 48-yard line of the Vikings. They line up with a running back and a wide receiver into the backfield as they motion the wide receiver out. It's a read option. The quarterback keeper getting a nice 10-yard pickup, a 14-yard pickup, in fact, before lowering his head and getting the first down yardage necessary to move the chains.
Great pickup for the quarterback, but if I was him, I'll learn how to slide because I wouldn't want to get another injury like our Heems, yeah.
Motioning the wide receiver back out. It's a RPO once again. Quarterback keeper once again out to the 15-yard line, 10-yard line, continuing to turn forward, and he'll get the ball out. Pardon me, that's out to the 17-yard line.
But you gotta like his little roughness to it. He's not afraid to tuck his chin down, go and get a hit.
So it was a little unconventional start at the game for the Falcons. They didn't really run the read option, despite the fact that they're known as a read option team. Their freshman quarterback, Will Weinman, was more of a pocket passer, but since then they've gone back to their true identity with Tristan Eames and Ramon Ortega. Oh, wait. I don't even know who you're going to call that on. A flurry of flags fly onto the field, as it'll be a false start on the Falcons. False start, everybody but the center. I love to hear it. 10-yard penalty. They'll kick him out of the red zone of the Vikings, and they'll knock on the door here at the 22-yard line here. So, Matt Estrada, the only man to not move, and it's likely that it's his fault. They hand the ball off the left side of the offensive line, bowling his way forward for a gain of 4 on the play, getting out to the 19-yard line into the Vikings red zone.
We have a player down.
As we get our first injury timeout of the game, fortunately, actually, there's only been one. There'll be a timeout on the field after a nice little gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and about 11 after this injury timeout. We'll take a quick break as the Vikings lead 49-20, 3:42 left in this fourth quarter of play. You are tuned in to DVC football here on the Viking Sports Network. Second and 11 after the quick injury timeout. The clock continues to turn. 3:33 and counting down. Motioning the running back into the flats. Ortega drops back, has some pressure, rolling out to the right side, has some space out to the 10-yard line, out to the 5-yard line, and that will be a targeting call on the defender for the Vikings. Lowering the head, leading with the crown of his helmet, and this will await who the play was called on. As oh, so we thought it was going to be a targeting call on Jerome Davis, but it was actually an illegal blindside block, so they went high-low with the offensive lineman. So it could have been a huge mistake from the Vikings, costing them a player for the rest of this game. Of course, in the next half of next game, turns into a negative situation for the Falcons.
If any player is upset about that call right now, it's definitely Ortega.
Ortega with two running backs in the backfield alongside him off his left and right hip. He motions the wide receiver out into the backfield. Ortega keeps it himself, running it, breaking through the first line of defenders before being taken down at the 18-yard line. Jacob Ord on the tackle for the Vikings.
Third down. Snap will be from the
The clock continues to churn down. 2:30 rather left in this fourth quarter. Third down and long. They hand it off on the draw this time, having some space along the near sideline, out to the 10-yard line, tackled down at the 8-yard line. And that was the backup running, or that was the running back, Andrew Davis, on the play. Pardon me, that was number 26, not number 28. So another new running back checking into the game for West Hills.
Jerron Jenkins.
Jerron Jenkins, the man on the tackle there. Or the man on the carry there, rather. Wow. Clock running. Fourth down and 1 from the 8-yard line of the Vikings. Receiver and running back in the backfield. And the motion out once again. They fake the handoff. No, they do hand it off actually on the read option. And that's going to go forward for about 2 yards on the play. Out to the 7-yard line of the Vikings. That's enough to move the chains.
Seemed like Ortega couldn't make heads or tails of whether give the ball up or go for it himself.
Yeah, shades of Wake Forest right over there. I was watching the opening game for Wake Forest, and that read option that they run over there is quite strange. They walk the ball at the beginning of the read option. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Or until that last play, I guess.
He already got copy, and it's been less than a week.
Ortega awaiting the snap for the near hash mark. Motions his receiver into the flat. They fake the handoff. They look deep down the field into the back of the end zone. Broken up at the last second. A bang-bang play. It looked like the defensive back, Anton Tanner, turned his head at the last second, but there was too much contact as flags fly in, and there'll be a pass interference call in the back of the end zone. The sophomore out of Antioch, California, another one of the transfers for Coach Dar, leaving LMC and joining this DVC roster.
pass interference moves the ball up to the 2-yard
57.5 seconds left in this game. The ball will be set at the 2-yard line. So we'll see if the Vikings can stand strong and finish off this game without giving another garbage time touchdown up. Number 26 is back in the backfield for West Hills, Jerron Jenkins, that is, and he's stuffed right away. There was nowhere to go as soon as the ball was snapped. It'll be a 1-yard loss in the play for West Hills.
I would think the Vikings defense heard your comment. They were like, yep, we got to stop that.
This Vikings defense plays with a ton of pride. When you come out to DVC to play football, the key, the identity, is that front seven and the pressure. Snap off to Ortega. They keep it on the read option as Ortega continues to break through 4 different tacklers, finding his way to the end zone. And Ramon Ortega leads his team down the field after a wonky drive, capping off the final offensive drive of the game for the Falcons into the end zone. 49-26, 2:25 left. Or, yeah, 22.5 left, rather, in the rest of this game.
That was pure effort by Ortega, and you got to like seeing that when you're a quarterback.
Yeah, they have quite a few quarterbacks on the roster. When I was trying to do some research before the game, they have 4 quarterbacks on the roster and 3 redshirt quarterbacks. Awaiting the last man to check into the PAT unit. Cannon Eames, the little brother of Tristan Eames, lines up for the kick. Gets a high snap, having to roll back out, pressured, tries to toss it out to his punter, or kicker rather, and there's nowhere to go. Another botched extra point attempt from the Falcons, and they've got quite a lot to take away from their special teams unit here, leaving Viking Stadium. Likely one last kickoff and a knee to be taken from the Vikings, as they've absolutely dominated this game through and through. The last time West Hills had any shot in the game was early in the first quarter, where it was a 7-7 tie. But since then, the Vikings defense has really led the way for their offense to churn ahead with the running game to blow up the score to 49-26.
You know, Max, this is the type of game you need to have at the start of the season to build up your confidence and how both offense and defense. The offense stuttered a little bit at the start, but they came on in the second half, and it really proved that they've worked hard this offseason to get better, and it seems like we're going to be up for a really good season.
Like I was alluding to earlier in the broadcast, I was talking to Coach Dar before this game, and he was all about his defense this year. A lot of hype between the 3 defensive line, the defensive front for the Vikings: Dion Falau, Isaiah Latu Sue, and Ravine Nasali. A final kick here will finally take us to the conclusion of this game. Cannon Eames lining up to kick the ball. The 2 returnmen for the Vikings, David Hamilton and Chris Miles. The kick is up. It's a deep kick. It'll be fielded down. No, it'll be fumbled off the return man. And is this going to be a safety? Oh, it's a touchback. I thought he had possession of the ball before he dropped it, which would have ended up being a safety. But instead, no harm, no foul. It would be a touchback off the hands of David Hamilton. And the Vikings offense will come out to the field, take one final knee, and call this game a night. Despite the fact that he sat out the last few drives, Dylan Graham comes out to take the final victory formation snap. 22.5 left. The Vikings are up 49-26, ready to wrap the bow around this game. Oh, I love seeing this from the Vikings. They line up. They never take a snap under center, so it's a shotgun snap victory formation. Snap is up. Dylan Graham takes the final knee of the game, and the Vikings wrap things up 49-26 here in the season opener in Viking Stadium. We'll take a quick break before covering the flow of the game on the other side of this. You've been tuned in to DVC Sports Network here in Viking Stadium. back here in Viking Stadium. We don't have any live stats, unfortunately. You can find those on cccaa.org after the fact that after this game, if you're interested in that. We'll just do a quick wrap-up right over here as the Vikings win 49-26. It was a strong showing from the defense first as they lined up on defense in their second offensive possession of the defensive drive of the game. They were able to get a strip sack forced fumble, returning it into the end zone. After that, West Hill College was able to kick off a huge run, going 60-plus yards, and that was DeJuan James who ran that ball out from the 40 of his own side of the field into the end zone. And then since then, it was basically all Vikings. They score another pick six. They get an interception. They drive all the way into the end zone. And then the rest of the scoring from West Hills College was in garbage time. So with that, we call it a night. Another great season opener here in Viking Stadium for Loganonis, Noah Williams, Oscar Martinez. My name is Max Gress, and this has been a DVC production. So we'll find you in the next game. Let me see right over here. The next game will be on September 28th at 6 p.m. And the Sierra College, Sierra College will come up and face the Vikings here at home. So the Vikings will be back on the 28th, and we'll have the broadcast here in Viking Stadium once again. So great game, Vikings. 49-26. They take the win. And we'll close it out with that. Thank you for joining us alongside the broadcast and many more great ones to come.